Hello, friends. Josh from Porter Square Books here. Some of us are all giving tours of our home libraries, and today is my turn. I've been selling books with Porter Square Books. Hello, friends. This is Josh from Porter Square Books, coming to you from my house. A number of us are sharing our libraries with you, and today is my turn. I've been with Porter Square Books for 15 years and counting, and even though I moved recently and had to shed some number of books, I've still got a pretty solid collection, I think. I'm going to take you through the whole thing, and then I've got some fun stuff to share at the very end. I'm also going to be turning you back and forth a little bit, not because I like, making deep eye contact with myself into a camera, but I didn't clean a whole ton, and, well, I want to look good to you. So, I am also a writer, so we're going to start with an obligatory shot of the writer's messy desk. And there it is. Look at all of that. I guess they call it creative clutter. If you're wondering what a bookseller's to-be-read pile looks like, well, for me, it's actually two to-be-read bookcases, organized roughly with nonfiction on the top and kind of fiction on the bottom. Oh, but that's not all. I also have my classic semi-reading shelf. This is one of those library carts and bookshelves that I actually got from a college in Vermont that closed down. I was working with an organization there, painted it silver. It looks nice. So these are all books that I have started reading and maybe rereading. Maybe some of them are research. And they're just kind of, I keep my active reading in a slightly different place. And by that I mean all over the house. My next bookcase is my graphic novels. I've got a pretty good set. I don't read as much of them as I maybe like to, just because we all run out of time in a given day. Next up is my poetry section with reference on top. I reviewed poetry for a little while, so I have a bunch of books from that, and I love poetry, so I have bought and acquired tons over the years. Say hi to some of my plants. That's my lavender. That's my aloe. Got some succulents, of course. And last in my office, which is where we've been, is the literary criticism and philosophy section. Wait, maybe this is just Lit Crit. Yeah, sorry, this is just Lit Crit. So that is my office. We're going to go into another room in the place. I'm going to make a quick non-book pit stop to look at the fish and the jackalope. That is an authentic jackalope from wherever they come from. We also have now here this beautiful complete World War II kind of time life set, along with our crafting and knitting. And, oh look, more plants. I don't know about you, but I love having my house filled with plants. Some of you who maybe were on Twitter last night saw a picture of me in my solarium, which was very fun. Our next shelf is what I consider my rare books case. Back it up a little bit here. You know it's fancy because of the glass cases. I've been very lucky over the years to get signed books from authors who have visited the bookstore, authors I've met at conferences, and authors who are my friends. There are also some galleys here, some rare books I've found kicking around, and some other memorabilia. Next to the rare books section is nonfiction. We've got general nonfiction. As you can see, we've got a couple librarians helping us out, Miss Piggy and Kermit. And next as the rest of nonfiction, there's a biography, philosophy, and science here. At the very top is my ephemera shelf. And so this is kind of weird stuff I've collected over the years. I'm going to actually show you a few things from that. And then up on top, we've got some more kind of rare books that none of them are terribly valuable, but they look cool. We're going to skip one little part of the house and move to my art books. But first, we're going to say hi. Oops. Do it. Great. First, we're going to say hi to Miles. I don't know if you can see. Oh, there's Miles. This is our betta fish. Miles' name is Miles because he is kind of blue. Get it? So here is our art section. And if it looks like there's a big gap right there, I'm going to tell you about that in a couple of minutes. All right. So we're coming through. Hello, friends who have joined us. We're going through the kitchen, which is definitely not clean enough, but we'll make a pit stop at our cookbook shelf, which is hidden a little bit by the cat tree. Is this the best place for a cat tree? No. Does Circe brook dissent? She also does not. Show off a couple of prints from our farm share. Yes, the farm share we get our vegetables from in the summer also does prints every year. Sun Moon Farm, they're the best. And also a quick nod to the patron saint of our kitchen, Alton Brown. You all stocked up on flour, right? Very useful during the apocalypse. Okay. And now, if you've been watching some of the videos before, you have seen my fiction section. So we've got anthologies at the top, along with some hats, and of course a raven in a bird cage to watch over all of it. Show off a little bit more of the art. My partner is awesome, and she collects and makes stuff. So here are some really cool bugs for you all to look at. Okay, so as I said, I've collected a bunch of cool things over the years, promotional stuff, that kind of stuff, and I want to show it to some of you today. Show some of it to you today. This is an independent bookstore day exclusive item from this past year. I Dated Graham Greene by Lucy Ellmann, who is the author of Ducks Newburyport. You all know how much I love Ducks Newburyport. This is a super curmudgeonly little short story essay type thing. Charmingly curmudgeonly, of course. I think there might still be one at the bookstore, but otherwise this is the last. If not, that independent bookstore day was your last chance to get it. I was very lucky to get this early single story little promotional copy of the Finkelstein Five from Nana Kwame Adjei-Brenyah's absolutely brilliant debut short story collection, Friday Black. A lot of the booksellers at the bookstore read it and loved it. Highly recommended. And I got to read this. It kind of came in the mail. Kind of looked at it and was like, oh, what is this? And then I started reading and was immediately hooked. And I demanded they send me a full galley as soon as they had it. So I'm very excited to have had this. Very cool to have been a little bit early to the Friday Black hype. And I'm really excited for whatever Nana does next. This other thing is from so one of my favorite presses, one of the presses we talk a lot about is Coffee House. I'm sure you've heard me mention their books in the past. They do wonderful experimental work, interesting work. They take risks. They do a lot of literature and translation. And one of the reasons why they can do these things is because they are nonprofit. So they're able to solicit donations to kind of help make them ends meet and are less tied to commercial concerns. One of the fundraisers they occasionally do is the Housequake. Now, I don't live in Minneapolis. And so they'll sometimes do is remote tickets, and they call it the Unticket. And this is mine from 2015. They did some really cool stuff with it. We've got like a fancy postcard. They sent me a nice little note. I've got this little poem that's on a print with says commissioned by Josh Cook, and this other kind of letterpress postcard. And the ticket itself also has some poems like this from Ron Padgett. There's the people at the Coffee House are some of my favorite people, both present people at Coffee House and past people at Coffee House. So I don't know what their plans are. Nobody knows what anybody's plans are this year. But if they do something like this, like some kind of remote housequake or some kind of other fundraiser for their efforts, I highly recommend participating. You help great books come into the world, and you get really cool stuff like this. This next bit of ephemera was one of the more surprising and fun bits of promotional material before. Our friends at Restless Books, which is an international focused publisher, they also do a really great Immigrants Writing Prize. They've done a couple of years where they highlight the immigrant experience in a really cool way. But they sent me this luchador mask, or at least luchador style mask. I'm not sure how authentic it is, as part of their promotion for a book called The Cowboy Bible by Velasquez. And it is one of the most bonkers, strange, weird, delightfully odd books I've ever read. I think it's technically a collection of short stories, but I think it reads a lot better as a very strange novel. This relates because there's wrestling in it, the Mexican-style luchador wrestling. Sometimes the Cowboy Bible, if I remember correctly, is portrayed as if it were an entity that is a professional wrestler. When I got this, however many years ago that was, I put it on, took some pictures of myself wrestling with heavy books. You can probably find it on the internet still somewhere. I'm sure it's there because that stuff never goes away. Now, I mentioned that big gap in the art book section. One of the things I have always wanted to do when I am a rich eccentric, of course, is kind of build out our own library and build a very specific stand to display. Hold on, gotta engage my core. Arno Schmidt's Bottom's Dream. So this came out a few years ago from Dalkey Archive Press. They're another really wild, innovative presses. I think they're out of Texas now. They're kind of mercurial in where they are and what they're doing. But they still have books coming out, still have great books coming out. They're the people who have really pushed and supported Flann O'Brien, his works in the United States. And so this is, I guess, the German language Finnegan's Wake. And it draws both from Bottom, as in from Shakespeare, but from Edgar Allan Poe and from a number of other things. And as you can, maybe you can't see, I will try to help you see. As you can see, it's in this wild, multi-columned, massive format. It's not so much a book you read as a book you kind of exist in. So in my dream library, I would love to have just a stand out in the middle where I could just leave Bottom's Dream open to dip into whenever I feel like it. Well, that is my library. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed some of the fun stuff that I was able to show you today. We'll see you again soon on the interwebs, and hopefully before too long we'll see you all back again at Porter Square Books. Thank you all so much.